Hello, welcome to the Mouth of Truth, the live stream from behind the scenes of Ren, the Girl with the Mark. Season 2 has just finished. I hope you enjoyed the finale. And tonight, as ever, we are joined by some very special guests from the cast and crew of that episode. Let's bring them in now. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Don't forget to unmute yourselves.
We did forget.
Hello.
Hello. Would you like to introduce yourselves, starting with Sophie?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm Sophie Black. I was lucky enough to direct this episode.
And Florian?
Hello, my name's Florian Hencher. I am an actor. I was discovered by Sophie Black for this series, and yeah.
And Therese?
Hello, I'm Therese. I was the one-eyed, bookkeepy, witchy person.
Hardly discovered you, Florian. You've been very well known for quite some time.
Oh, well, you brought me into the world of Ren, so we discovered one another, should we say?
It was actually one of the first things I remember you saying, Sophie, actually, after you read it, that you suggested, oh, you should check out this person, Florian Hencher. You sent me a link to his Instagram.
First email, yeah. I mean, a few people did say, didn't they? Like Halo, who played Joran, after we did the table read, she was like, "This was written for Florian, right?" I'm like, no. It's a complete coincidence. He's just really right for the part. So. It did seem like you'd written him.
It was wonderful reading the script, and obviously, I mean, without giving any spoilers, reading the rest of his journey, you definitely feel it's so wonderful when a character comes through like that, and it just feels like your alter ego and your personality all wrapped into one character, and in a world that's so magical and so so on the Florian Hencher brand.
And you've been so patient, Florian, all this time of being like not saying who you were playing. And
I know, and then I just get this little snippet, but it's fine. It'll be worth it.
Yes, we tried not to give away who the archivist was going to be. So hopefully it was a surprise for people viewing. Let us know what you think in the comments. We've seen some of the comments that were going live as the episode was playing through there. Noticed Kate Sykes was a little bit shocked about what Hunter did at the end there. Maybe we'll come to that a little bit later, but hello to everyone that's joined us in the chat here on the live stream as well. Hello Murto, this was the best episode yet, Murto says. Well, thank you very much. Well done to Sophie. Can't wait for season 3. Phenomenal, says Kate Sykes. Hello to Dan, the wonderful Dan who played Screed, of course, in that episode.
Oh, is Dan there?
Dan's
Hello,
in the
Dan.
chat. Yeah.
Best guy ever.
Thank you so much for a great episode and a great season, says JHGK98. Heartwarming, top quality, and super fun. That's lovely feedback. And Toby says, hi Neil, great episode, and that's 3 live streams with a normal voice. Yeah, I'm never going to live down that accidental voice changer accident on episode 1. Everyone involved did a great job, says JHGK98. Thank you. And Murta says that was a twist. I didn't expect the kidnappers to take Ren to the archivist. Well, that's an interesting point, actually, because things changed a little bit there. But let's come back to that in a minute, and let's go back to the beginning, because I think as we've just said, Sophie, you had Florian in mind from the beginning. I have to say Therese's name came up pretty early as well, when we were discussing casting, didn't it?
It was you, Neil. Yeah, we were sat there and going through the different parts available, and you turned to me and went, "It's Therese, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yes."
Stinky old witch. Thanks.
She's not a witch.
I looked and smelt the part.
Well, for the people that don't know, we have worked with Therese a few times, and anytime, just a few, and anytime there's a kind of a mythical
Hag.
woman who's slightly older than we tend to call Therese.
That's been happening since I was about 30 though, so that's a bit worrying.
Oh, that's just the film industry though, Therese, isn't it? Like over 30, witch.
Yeah, one-eyed witch. Somebody did say the other day, you say a damn good hag. I think I'll go with that. Let's hear it for the hags.
So, Therese, maybe the question is, why are you crazy enough to keep working with me and Neil?
I think it's just because, well, particularly this one, it's just such a good vibe, and there's so much pressure, and in this kind of industry, and people can be quite. It's a little bit like every time you do a part, you're buying a lottery ticket, and you're worrying about the future. Whereas this, people are lovely. It's always good fun. We always have a laugh. The energy is gorgeous, and the end result is always phenomenal. So I would say it's my medicine for all the rest of it.
Therese.
That is a lovely way to put it. And we always have a great time working with you. It was the last week of our month of filming season 2. We were all a little bit tired, I think, a little bit emotional. It was you came in like a breath of fresh air
with extra estrogen on, just so I'll be on good form. Yeah, no, it was lovely. It's some amazingly lovely people, and such fantastic talent and warmth, and I think that all of that adds a quality to it that just you perhaps can't get on other things. For the lack of money, you make up a depth and gorgeousness.
Well, it does make a difference, I think, when people aren't there for the money, because there isn't any. You have to be there because you want to, right?
That would just be the one really sad person in the background who'd obviously not read the memo properly. But I just think it's really important to be reminded and to be with people who make art for art's sake and are passionate about what they do, because if you're not in it for that, you're going to be unhappy. Probably 80% of the people in the industry will be stressing themselves far too much.
That's a good point.
I love that.
JHGK98 says, I have a question for Florian. Where did you get the inspiration for your portrayal of the archivist? Alucard from Castlevania, maybe. Great job. I don't know that reference.
Oh, I do. It's another vampire one, Neil. The inspiration for the archivist. So, okay. Well, as Sophie said prior to this, the inspiration that Sophie got from the character was heavily based on my own personality. But I would say it's more based on a lot of my own brand that I've been doing for the last 10 years, which has heavily been elven, fantasy, majestic, historical. But when I read the script and I learned a lot and I can't give too much away about him because you're going to learn a lot more about him in season 3. But when I read a lot about his history and how he became the archivist and how he becomes this powerful character in Ren's journey, learning a lot about his history, I resonated with my own personality. So maybe I'm on a similar journey to the archivist, and I'm just not quite in my villain era yet in the Florian real world. But the vampire side of things, I think that's more to do with, I guess a lot of people, I do get referred to Lestat a lot, and from Castlevania as well. And I think it probably is just the blonde, long hair, but I do resonate with that sort of ethereal goth aesthetic as well. So maybe that's what it is. But I do love vampires. I don't know, Sophie, maybe he's a vampire behind his...
No, I do want to really jump in there just because I'm a massive Anne Rice fan and say that Thomas is definitely not Lestat, he is Armand. For the Anne Rice fans out there. So
that's a good point.
And it was interesting auditioning you, Florian, because of course we gave you scenes from season 3 to read, because you're so briefly in season 2. But that was what was that like for you and for Sophie?
Do you know? Okay, Sophie, would you like to go first, or shall I take the mic?
No, I will let you wax lyrical because it was such a fun audition process. I mean, I just want to say how much I love the auditions. Full stop. It'd been so long since we'd done in-person auditions because
Mhm.
COVID and everything else that happened. It was just so brilliant to do it in person. And I will say that although we did cast Florian and we did think of you early on, there were some brilliant competitors and making it very, very hard. Everyone who auditioned was brilliant. All the roles had multiple people where I was like, oh, basically it was just we were splitting hairs. Everyone was good. So if anyone's watching this that auditioned and you didn't get the part, you were amazing, and it was so tight between all of you. But yeah, just the most brilliant audition process. But yeah, Florian, I'll let you talk about yours specifically. But I just wanted to shout out everyone that auditioned and everyone that made the effort to come down and audition that day.
Oh, no, I'm going to follow exactly what you just said then, Sophie, as well, about how nice it was to audition in person. That feeling again, being in, I mean, if anyone's, I know a lot of actors of friends of mine have graduated, after COVID, so they've never actually even had that experience. So for me, going back into that experience of being able to go in the room and meet the people that you're going to work with, there's an adrenaline that really sort of grabs the performance, and then you as the actor, I mean, for me personally, when I'm nervous and the adrenaline kicks in, my focus goes into overdrive, and in a good way. And when I'm self-taping, and which is 90% of what I do at the moment, you have to find a different way of being creative, and you have to find that adrenaline that pumps a performance. But yeah, the audition process was exciting, getting to meet you in real life, Sophie. It was, and everybody else who was involved as well, and also being thrown off my game a little bit, because I spoke about this when we did the Q&A after the premiere, which was most auditions, you go in, you meet the panel, and then you just stand there and deliver your lines with the reader. Whereas you guys were like, we're going to do this as though we're on set and we're filming you with a camera sort of following you around the room. And you, I remember you saying to me, Sophie, just be in your high status, and this is your castle, this is your space.
Yeah, this is your castle. That was the motive. That was all you needed. Like I think you were bits of like holding back. The moment I said, this is your castle, you were like, oh, I know what to do then. Okay.
It's the strut, the poise, the position. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then I think we were in there for a good 20 minutes when we were doing the audition. I felt worked when I came out. I was exhausted, but in a really good way, from a good audition. And I think we chatted a bit about the character as well. I think we did that after the audition. I think we went straight.
A lot of voice notes. Yeah, there was a lot of voice notes back and forth. The whole kind of pre-production with me and you, wasn't there, Florian? So, do you remember? Do you remember the video audition that you did before the in-person audition? Do you remember the piece that I gave you to read for that? Because that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I do. So this is the self-tape we did before the in-person audition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got that. Yes, I did. I do remember doing that, and that was. I remember when the forms came through to fill out to sort of make this official. I learnt the scene because I was in Venice at the time. So I came back from Venice and then had to learn the scene on the tube on the way to work. Got to work and I had to speak to my manager. I was like, "Can I please use the office just to film this self-tape that I need in today by 5 p.m." But the pressure was the best part about it, I think. Yeah, and then it wasn't a scene from Ren though, was it?
It's because at the time, because we only had the scenes from series 3 to give to the people playing Thomas, we were being really, really careful about what was sent out. So we were like, what on earth can I send you in the first instance? So it was the famous speech from Blade Runner, both the version and the Tears in Rain speech, both the movie version and the book version. I took bits from the two and merged them together because I needed something that had Thomas's grandeur in the way he delivered the words, but without getting anything from the script at all. So no, it was the famous scene from Blade Runner that you had to read last minute at work in a back room really quickly, having just flown back from Venice, and you did it really well. So
thank you very much. It's good. I do when I'm doing characters like that though, there is something like, it is that alter ego that comes out when you're playing power, when you're like, do you know what, everything in this space, and from the first audition, even the self-tape, when you go into a sense of high status and you have to when you put yourself into that psychology, it is amazing what you can do, and the pressure you put yourself under. If you're a powerful person and you're under pressure, you're going to just deliver. And I think that's what really helped me with Thomas doing his auditions in both of them.
Fantastic. And Therese, didn't we give you a speech from Game of Thrones or something like that for your self-tape?
possibly. I've not watched Game of Thrones. Yes, I think possibly you did. I don't know. I must have done it all right, but it's one of those things, isn't it? It's really like you say, Sophie. There's so many great people out there, and it's just knowing that you've been picked because you happen to fit in with that group of other people. It's nearly always nothing to do with the fact that you're not a brilliant actor, and you're doing something different. So, yeah, I think people really need to remember that, because it can be so disheartening, can't it, when you don't get things. But
Yeah, it was a speech from Game of Thrones, Therese. And what was interesting about your video audition is that you read it out, and you read it out really well, and then you went, there you go. And they went, no, you know what? I can do it better. I can do it better. And you did it again. And I was like, the first one was great. Like, the first one was enough, but you kind of second guessed yourself and just delivered two great versions. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Good job on the second one. I remember saying at the end, this is my face, this is my age, I am old.
Yeah, you said natural face, natural aging process. And that's how you started the video. Yeah. It was great.
Good. I'm glad I got it. Hurrah.
Oh, I went to the wrong screen for a moment there. Whoops, you didn't see that.
You keep disappearing, Neil. Where are you going? Have you got your dinner on?
I'm just doing a sort of vision mixing.
Right.
I'm trying to make it dynamic.
We're dynamic enough. It's fine.
Just seeing many thanks to Katie Ann Buckingham. Just seeing in the chat that she's joined the Patreon. And Christopher Buckingham's asking, is the graphic working today? Yeah, there's meant to be a message that pops up when people join the Patreon. Sorry about that. I don't know why that's not working today. I don't know. I think some other people should join up just to test it. That would be very useful. What else have we got? Brilliant series and brilliant final episode to conclude S2 from Ben Smith. Thank you very much. Question about what comes next. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. How fun was the Heretics Market to film? Ben Smith says.
Oh, it was. I love the market. Who made? There's so many people made so many talents to make these things and like them and everything. But what an amazing place! I was a bit sad. What have you done with it? Can I have it?
I never got to do scenes in the Heretic Market. I was so sad. I mean, when I first saw Ren, I was just so wowed by the entire set that you guys had built. And yeah. So can Thomas please go there?
Was it fun to film in, Sophie?
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Rose, the production designer, and Ash, the art department assistant, just amazing. And everyone that came and just chipped in for the odd day. There was Eva, who came from Germany and just came and worked out and made some props, and just there's too many people to name because they were just all amazing. But the entire art department team were just phenomenal, because making that set on no money I'm an ex-production designer, and that would have daunted me so much, making something like that with no money. And they just did an incredible job, and it was just walking around it every morning felt amazing. I'd always get there first on set and walk around and just take it in. And even before it was lit, it was like, I can't believe we have this to work in. It's worth pointing out to people that it isn't as big as it looks. It was actually one set that the production designers and art department team had to completely rebuild every single night in between filming to get all the different zones for the Heretics Market. So it gives the impression of being one long Heretics Market, but it was actually one set, everything completely moved and redressed, and having enough set dressing to dress each different variation of that was phenomenal. It was beautiful. It looked beautiful on camera. And I felt so sad when we left it, which was crazy. We all did that last day, Neil. The last day in the Heretics Market. Yeah. I know we were sleep deprived, but we just all got really sad. It was also, for me, it was my last day with Alex. So it was this ending of the Heretics Market and the last day with Alex, who'd been Hunter and was amazing. And it was just, everyone was just really, really emotional that day. And but it was also, a little bit smoky. We had a lot of smoke in an enclosed space, because anyone who works with Neil knows that he always calls for more smoke. on set. No, we need more smoke. And
We,
always has like
we
simple
also
smoke.
lit a brazier at one point for a good few hours,
Yeah.
which was
I wasn't
probably
going to
not
mention
the
that.
greatest idea.
So it was very smoky, and I'm asthmatic, and I nearly died at one point, but discreetly, so as not to interrupt the scene. I kind of had an asthma issue, and then came back and cracked on. But like even though that set nearly killed me, I was really sad to see it go. So we just kind of lived there for a week, didn't we? So yeah, you do get attached to places.
Can I ask a question? Just because you know me, I'm always curious. When you build a set like that, do you build it and say, okay, I'm going to film this bit and film that, or is it created and then you go, oh well, I can use this bit and I'm going to do this bit, and I mean, how do you go about? How much do you pre-plan what you're going to? And how much do you go, oh no, I'm going to change it now to do it a bit more like this, just because it was so amazing?
Shall I take that one, Neil?
Yeah.
Because it does, I think it does vary with different directors. Some people can improvise and feel the set and move stuff more on the day. For me, it was very, very much planned with Rose beforehand, figuring out exactly what the blocking would be and drawing up multiple diagrams, and then being like, right, so we need Screed to stand there. Okay, actually it'd be better if he moved there, and planning all that stuff in advance so that she knew to have Screed's stall in a certain place, and that kind of thing. That did actually, like, some blocking did affect where stuff was slightly just before filming, but again in advance with enough notice for her to know that. But no, it was very much planned in advance with multiple diagrams and multiple meetings, and we even figured it out per zone. We had different zones and different nicknames for each zone of what action took place in each area, so that we could plan which bit was being built for which day, what happened in that action, which actor was placed where. And we have ridiculous amounts of paperwork, and Rose did loads of wonderful little diagrams, mostly done over Zoom, drawn on the screen, that we could plan where stuff was going to be. So that was very meticulously planned, but I don't know if that's the case for every director and every set. It just, for this, with a tight time frame, it kind of needed to be planned.
And do you think you have to be more creative when you're on a low budget than perhaps you would be if there was more money to just have exactly what you wanted? Do you know what I mean? Do you think it unleashes a greater creativity because of that?
I think it's a different kind of creativity. I think both are. I mean, you can get lazy when you've got loads of money, and it's good to get the cogs turning, isn't it? And thinking, right, we can't film this, and we can't shoot down this area, so what can be blocked off there? And that's Rose and Ash's creativity of blocking off certain areas and thinking what to put to create blockings and that kind of thing. But I mean, I will say that Ren has so many amazing supporters that were willing to kind of bring stuff in and loan stuff and build stuff. And Kate had an amazing stash already left over from Born of Hope and series 1 of Ren. So although this was like a low budget shoot, we had so much assets in terms of stuff and people power as well, that I think a lot of low budget things possibly wouldn't have. So yes, there is an element of creativity, but I think we were really lucky with the amount of stuff that we had to play with. Meant that we probably didn't have to be as creative, but yeah, lots of thought and creativity went into it.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely very, very creative indeed. But yeah, we did get a head start from the things that Kate's been collecting for many years, and things that other people have been collecting, like Ash Finn, who collected a whole bunch of stuff that made it into the market as well.
Florian, you had some people, kind of just to quickly jump on that, Florian had some people that donated a lot of things towards his costume too. So I don't know if you wanted to shout them out. Like your jewelry and everything was kind of loaded to the shoot, wasn't it? So
yeah, so we had Amanda Caroline Couture, which is her Instagram name, and she donated the brooch. I was working with Suzanne actually. I mean, it was wonderful because I must have had about 20 costume fittings, because there were so many. I suppose when you're creating a character like this, and he's the first of his he's the first of his kind in the Ren world. So obviously it was a completely different aesthetic for the characters that are currently in Ren. So it was really creative getting to hear how Suzanne was building this character's aesthetic, because he's from the aristocratic world. And so yeah, there was the opulence and the the drama, but also the regality of him, and almost that hint of androgyny as well. Again, trying not to give away any spoilers, but the brooch is symbolic of what people will learn about Thomas in season 3. But being an archivist, he's a collector. I can say that because we now know that. And the brooch symbolizes who he is and how he became who he is, with the details on it. So if you do look closely enough, you'll see that there's a leaf and there's an amber stone and yeah. And then the costume with the boot. I mean, I think we spent a lot of time working on the sleeves and the cape and the boots. They were the 3 areas that we spent the most time trying to decipher. And I think initially Suzanne wanted these like slightly heeled, almost like Rococo style, medieval, I mean completely different eras, but that sort of heeled shoe. And then when we put the costume together, having such a long tunic, it made more sense to have a boot so that it elongated the character's my shape. But yeah, the cape as well, we had that like side cape going on, which was a decision that Suzanne was. I remember saying it'd be nice to have like a 6-foot cape, so as he's coming down the stairs, you've got this cape like draping down. But Suzanne was very passionate about having this, side piece, which I loved wearing as well. So and the boots as well.
The asymmetric cape's really important for people who are long-term Ren fans as well, is because we kind of want to keep people guessing at this stage as to where Thomas's allegiances lie. So obviously the Kanaf are all red, there's a lot of red in their wardrobe, and everything's very symmetrical. And then some of the good characters all wear asymmetrical costumes, and obviously we've got the blue is very important there. So it's kind of like, so putting him in purple,
he's in between.
Some shapes symmetrical, some shapes asymmetrical, like the cape. That was kind of inspired by the shape of some of Khan's capes in season 1. So, like, I don't think people are going to ever realize how much work went into Thomas's look and how many people just were involved in this one look. You had multiple seamstresses, and as well as Suzanne. And people lending jewelry.
Kelly as well. Yeah, we had Kelly from Rowan's Closet as well. She also did the final tweaks because there was a few. We started off with Dante, who was making the costume. Then he had to step out because he's studying at the moment at university. And then the costume got passed on to Kelly at Rowan's Closet. If people want to check out her work as well, she works predominantly in the medieval Lord of the Rings style costuming. And then she raised the collar up on his costume and then brought the neckline in so it's slightly more open here, and then gave his sleeves a little bit of a puff as well, which was nice. So but still very much honoring Suzanne's design, who was the costume designer on Ren.
And shout out to Miriam Spring Davis as well, because obviously the symmetrical thing came from her original designs, and I was inspired by that kind of thing as well. But just to touch on that, just saying that just how much went into that one look, and debates about hair and everything just went into it. Was such a massive reveal of Thomas and the archivist, and everything was such a massive reveal. It was just so many meetings about his look. You wouldn't believe.
And the mood boards were amazing. As soon as I saw the mood boards for what you guys had drafted, you've done it's so close to what despite a few things having to change, because obviously it's always different. You have an initial vision, and then when you're doing it in real life, it's always different how it feels as the actor. You're trying to wear that person's design, but then you're also taking into accountability, is this comfortable? Am I going to be able to walk down the stairs the way he needs to? Am I going to be able to do the things in the scene that he has to do? So all of that was coming into play when we were building the look, but it's so close to what was on the original vision board. With from the hair to the colours used, and as you said, with the symmetry, it's amazing, and it's such an honour to be a part of the show, and to be playing such an iconic character, if I say so myself, in this world.
Ferret Angelus says Florian's costume reminded me of an English Civil War royalist officer. It was simply rather fancy.
Thank you very much.
And Therese, you had a pretty amazing costume as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, heads up to that costume. That was just fantastic, and it was really beautifully put together, and with the skirt bit that lifted up and just gave you it's a really interesting one when you do acting, because you do sort of read the script and you go into in-depth thinking about your character and what's your motivation, and then you put your costume on and you get on set and you're like, whoa, let's play. Because it just sort of comes to you, and there was a real sense of creative character play with others. I mean, when you're working with people who also really enjoy playing, really, and there was something about that character, and the hair and the makeup as well. I mean, they even tied little bits in my hair, and it's like was it the cyborgs where they become part of metal? It's like that kind of thing. As soon as you put on your characters and get in the set, you think, why did I spend all this time thinking about it when it's just gut instinct in there? You know, you're given the information by yourself and Sophie about what kind of thing they want. And I think sometimes thinking too much is a really bad idea, because it was fantastic, the costume. It was really beautiful, really clever people, really well thought out, really well thought.
Yeah, shout out to
thank you.
Shout out to Suzanne Emerson and her whole team. I think it was Hannah Young that designed Bibliana's costume, and then Sophie Franken-Wells who made it. Yeah,
perfect, both of them.
Team.
And delightful people.
Yes,
I might have left it in a bit of a state, I'm afraid.
That's quite all right. The costumes and sets throughout the season were phenomenal, says Ferro Angeles. Thank you very much. I completely agree. Brilliant. What else have we got? Someone's asking what. I think this was for Florian and Therese. What's your relationship to season 1? It's an interesting question, since neither of you were involved in making the first season. You know, when did you become aware of it?
I have worked with Neil for maybe 20 years. How long have we worked together, Neil?
It's over 20. It must have been like 2000 or 2001 the first time we worked together.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, we make basically sex education videos often, don't we? But also there is always loads of Atmos, and I've never quite worked out why, but anyway, it's your trade thing, isn't it? So I have followed your work for a long time and recognized a massive talent, and I'm also a great lover of a good story. And I think you were saying this, Florian, that there isn't good, perhaps before we came, there just aren't great stories in stuff at the moment. Do you know what I mean? It seems like it's all flavour and no depth a lot of the time. And so anything you do, and then I've always been very interested in. And then, of course, working with Sophie a while ago, we did another beautiful emotional story. So if you've worked with somebody before, you have a tendency to follow what they're doing anyway, just not even because you think, oh, I hope there's a part for me in one of those, just because you're fascinated over like 20 years or whatever as to how they do. And it's not a just industry. There are some amazingly talented people out there who don't always get the recognition, and you just, you know, you want everybody to do well, don't you? So I loved season 1. I watched it with great joy, as I watch anything that both of them do. And so to be in season 2 was an absolute delight.
Cool. And Florian, had you heard of it or seen it before you were approached about it?
So season 1. So just so I understand the question, because I've got them up on my right-hand side here, it's the entire series, not the character Ren, which I'm assuming we're going with that.
Yes, because it's what is your relationship to Ren season 1 was the question.
So it was. So when I discovered Ren, I was, and this is actually, I'm going to plug my own project here, which is currently on hold. But I was right. I've written my own fantasy series, and I decided to, during lockdown, to take the plunge and start producing it onto a higher platform. So we started shooting the pilot in Scotland, and then when we had finished the pilot, we came back in the UK, in England, and I suddenly was overloaded with this overwhelmed even with this amount of footage that could be really good and I could completely destroy if I attempt to edit this badly. So I put a post out and I was like, guys, I really don't want to lose this project. You know, it's almost been, at that point, it'd already been 3 years of writing and developing the idea. And then somebody connected me to Sophie and said, you should work with a friend of mine who loves fantasy, and I think you'll have loads in common, and reach out and, you know, and see if she's interested in editing your work. So I did reach out to Sophie, but then when we were just deciding what to do with our budget and if we could fund, or if we should fund having an additional crew member, Sophie being the editor, we decided to pause the project and then write the book. So I'm currently in the midst of writing this fantasy series and turning it into a book. So that's all I'll plug for now. But Sophie then introduced me to Ren, the world of Ren, which came almost was it a year or 2 years later, Sophie?
Yes, and I want to say it was Gemma Hewitt that introduced us. The
It was
amazing costume designer Gemma Hewitt. Who's
Yes,
phenomenal.
yes, and I met Gemma. Oh my gosh, I met Gemma Hewitt at a festival in Cornwall. So it's all once you're in the fantasy community, it's a very small bubble. So yeah, when Sophie and I were introduced, it was almost a year later, and I was. And then Sophie introduced me to Ren, and then I remember your email coming through, and I thought, okay, fantasy. I've been dying to work with Sophie. An opportunity has now happened. I read the script, then I was linked to the entire series. And then when I arrived back to the UK from Venice, I watched the whole series, and I couldn't believe you had Sophie Skelton in it, who I'm a huge fan of as well from Outlander. It's so similar and so different to my own story that I knew I had to be part of this, because I felt like the universe had just said, okay, your project isn't going to work right now, so it's time to be an actor again and enjoy being in this world. And I learned so much as well just from what I've witnessed these guys do already. It was a lot of fun. It was fun getting to be directed as well, because being a director is so hard when you're also being an actor. So there's so much I could say. I will stop there before I go on a tangent. But Sophie, have you got anything you want to add to that?
Well, on the question of what's your relationship to Ren season 1, I will say that I worked on Ren season 1 in a very, very different capacity. So I was a production assistant on Ren season 1, and then slightly upgraded to seamstress and art department assistant. And I got to help build a thatch roof on Ren's house, actually, her family home. And did a bit of like mold in one corner and got to whittle some things with axes and that kind of thing. And it was amazing. Turning up on season 1 and seeing what Kate and the whole team had done in this warehouse with, like you said, no money, was phenomenal and so inspiring, as well as at the time a young wannabe director seeing what Kate was doing was so inspiring. Flash forward 10 years later, and then I'm in the director's seat, which is incredible. I will say I did a lot of work in that 10 years I didn't just go from production assistant to directing an episode of something like Ren, but still feeling very honored that I went from production assistant to directing on series 2. It was just, I'm really honored to be asked, actually.
Oh, and Sophie, you were so good as well. I absolutely love working with you, and I just can't wait. I just hope we get to do it again.
Yeah, any directing, any hiring, any jobs for directing would be amazing right now. Yes.
Yes, let's not get started on the state of the film industry at the moment.
I won't.
Cool. I think we should get on with the commentary. So let's see if I can get the right screen up here. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, any thoughts? Just jump in, anyone? Nice to
Dan, those two were lovely together. I was watching them the other day. I watched the episode 3 and the bit when they went on the journey, and I just thought there's such a little magicalness about the two of them. It was so beautifully done. But they were an absolute delight, those two. And they were playing that peg game. Have they mentioned that peg game where they're so naughty as well? And there was that playful energy between the two of them, I thought was just, and also little moments where you thought, hello, what's going on? And then you thought, oh no, I've maybe got that wrong. I've got that wrong. But
They had great chemistry. They were really, really close. And I mean, they'd been on the journey of playing Ren and Hunter for the whole month by the time they came to our episode.
yeah.
So Oriana and Alex were already super, super close, which was just a huge asset for me as a director, was knowing they had those emotional scenes coming up. You know, what do we lean into? We lent into their friendship, and we used the friendship they built. And it was just, like I said, the biggest asset. But yeah, they were super, super close by that point.
And it is, I think it's part of an actor's job is when you get a part and you're working with somebody, you have to sort of almost create a history. So there's loads of telling people stories that you probably wouldn't tell everybody, and they just really got to know each other in a way that worked. It just worked so well. Well done, good casting, good choice.
Before we lose it, can we just comment on how amazing that intro is?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well done, Neil.
I love the intro so much. That is, it just looks, it's just, yeah, it's superb.
Oh, thanks. My little side project. And this amazing staircase, mostly made by Dale. Oh, happy birthday to our amazing sound mixer, sound recordist, and carpenter, Dale Suttle.
Oh, he was lovely. Happy
Um,
birthday, gorgeous person.
And
You were so
And
awesome in the
let's hope this is
feeling,
your
wasn't
best shirt ever. I give you permission to have the best shirt ever.
Do you remember Dale usually being on the ceiling though, because like he could not get good sound because it was obviously a small set and there was a lot of bodies.
yeah.
So he'd often be up a ladder, and I'd be like, "Where is Dale?" And I'd look up, and he was above me with the microphone.
Yeah, standing on a ladder, because of course all these sort of washing line type things hanging across the set were a nightmare for him in terms of being able to get the boom into position.
Yeah.
So his best
The
option.
editing, the color grading is just it's beautiful.
Yes, shout out to Mara Chiorba at Cheat who did that. She made a lovely job of it. And again, this is another bit that we got looking quite close to your mood board, Sophie, I think, in terms of the colours and things.
The fact that there's things hanging from the ceiling at all times was, I mean, obviously it's very atmospheric and making it look like a small enclosed underground space, but it was also so that you, Neil, and the whole camera team had things to shoot through at all times. Because at this point in the journey in particular, Ren is so in danger and there's eyes on her at all time, and I wanted to enhance that with the cinematography by having it being like, you know, basically the camera is someone else that's spying on her at all times. So having things to shoot through, like candles and bits of fabric, just kind of enhance that feeling of Ren is being watched and the camera is another set of eyes. So thank you, Rose, and the whole art department team for just filling that set with stuff and glass and candles and things to shoot through. And apologies to Dale, that made it very, very difficult for you to put a boom in. And also apologies to all the Canaf who got their helmets caught in the things hanging from the ceiling, and some of which have lost their helmets and made for some great bloopers. Blooper spoiler, sorry.
So what?
But,
There was a little moment here, I remember, Neil, where you had a little comment with the sound guy and you were both so tired. And I was listening in, and you suddenly, both of you started to talk absolute nonsense. Do you know when you've got a computer and you think, oh, I think I need to turn it off and turn it back on again? Oh, I kind of wanted to turn you both off and turn you back on again, because just a moment where you were talking numbers and you couldn't remember. I thought, oh, they're tired, these two.
Yeah.
I'm not
Very
surprised.
Neil used
really
the
lovely with each other. Those tired moments, people can be really quite nasty, but you were really lovely. It was quite funny from the outside.
Yeah, he described it as mushy pea brain, Therese, at the time. Neil's like, I think my brain is now mushy peas.
I think it was soup in an envelope rather than mushy peas. It seemed to be leaking out all over the place, but it came straight back in. You just those are the times you wish you smoked. You could go out with a quick fag and come back in again. Add to your atmos.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Rupert Peddle and his amazing Steadicam work here, by the way.
Oh, he was an asset, wasn't he? He just came in for like one day and just got these beautiful Steadicam shots. I can't believe we got him. Do you remember, Neil? You actually sent him a photo of the set when it was still being built.
Yes,
and
a
that
video,
alone was enough. Oh, video, sorry. And that alone was enough to kind of tempt him on, this amazingly qualified Steadicam operator. So again, kudos to the set for encourage him to join our little project. So,
Yes.
Looks amazing. I mean, when you think about it, every episode that I've watched, and now when I watch series 1, I think, how the hell did they imply there was a world outside of that, given how many people you had and it's incredible. It is incredible. Where is that?
This location is Morlais Castle near Merthyr Tydfil in South Wales. This was a location.
And I didn't direct this scene. This was Johnny being amazing second unit director. So because I didn't go to Wales, so thank you, Johnny, for directing this scene. And I apologise for all the storyboards and notes I sent you for that one little brief scene.
Like handing your baby over, Sophie. It's never easy, is it?
Oh, this one's definitely Neil's baby. I'm just a foster parent, but very thankful to be so.
Well,
Wales
really, I'm the foster parent as well. It's Kate and Chris's baby.
This is true. Ren has many adoring foster parents.
Yeah. Cameo by Paul Richards there as Man with Boils. Known to some people as Harvey Greenfield.
Oh, right. How great is Richard in this scene? Like Richard's he's like a shark in this scene. I love it.
They were all great. And so very generous, that all the people who did all the people in the stores. They really gave it themselves.
Yeah.
Just the lanterns the lanterns are just beautiful, how many of them there are.
Most of them are real fire as well. We had to have fire safety warnings every day, which Therese decided to joke during, so we had to tell her off.
I can't help it. Sorry, a bit on the spectrum.
No, we needed it by that point. Like we were so tired. You were really good at cheering us all up. I was like, Therese, this is a fire safety briefing.
There
was no accidents. It was fine. There was no fires.
Hello, Sun City from Kenya. Thanks for joining us.
Wow.
My uncle's in Kenya. Say hello to David for me, Kenya people. Oh.
And this was the fight scene that we somehow shot in one day.
One of my favourite scene in the entire series comes up soon. I won't give it away, but everyone's seen it hopefully. But it's just it's. Can I talk about what's coming up, or should I just keep it with what's on the? It's obviously when Ren has that healing moment, and just the gust of wind, and it's a beautiful.
Oh, that was probably me, the gust of wind.
This is what we're talking about. Imagine this a safety briefing.
No, the gust of wind was lovely. Sorry, it is beautiful.
You call it that when I called it that.
Are we still on the fight scene? I can't see my screen now.
No, we're on to the healing
okay,
scene.
We'll let this scene happen. This is one that I was going to keep talking about the fight scene, but I'll be quiet because this is just
shots as well. Just the POV shots, like the angles are just they're so okay. I've got a commercial that's just popped up in my there we go. Skip. Okay, we're back.
Is it?
Okay. Oh, it's happening. It's coming up.
The makeup people were amazing as well. But such lovely people, and there's the makeup tent is always a little haven, isn't it, where you can get and they were very lovely, just as well as doing makeup. I like them. They were nice.
Honestly, directors, you won't know how much we rely on makeup artists because they're the first person to speak to an actor at the start of the day. If they've got a really stressful scene coming up, it's their first taste of calm, and getting them in a good position before they come to us. It's just, they honestly, makeup artists are amazing. But this scene, just Oriana is phenomenal. And film all of Ren as quick as you can, Neil, because Oriana is going to get snapped up, in my opinion. She's just amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that for her. I mean, the work she's put in, and it's funny because watching both of it, this is the first time I had seen Alex's work, and he's just got such a natural. He doesn't push anything. He just delivers everything in such a. It's something I really picked up on when we watched the whole series at the premiere. I mean, Ori, I know is I've obviously had the privilege of working with Ori But it was really.
How's
Yeah, he's just got such a believability, and he's not pushing, which is wonderful to watch as an actor myself.
He actually made us all a bit tearful on a scene that's coming up later in particular, but just seeing Alex cry. Sorry Sophie, but this scene is stunning. Like, your work on this is, look at that, it's gorgeous. The first thing we shot for that episode was the shot of Ren. And the tilting shot, the very first thing when we turned up at the barn.
His brother's on the scene as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
His brother is on this scene as well. Didn't his brother come in?
Oh, yes, so his brother Sebastian plays one of the two heavies that bundles Ren away.
He was nice.
He secretly played.
He also did. Actually, he's also a VFX artist, and he did the compositing of the glow on Ren's mark in that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, there's a talented family.
Do you know? I just found out as well. My best friend is Alex's best man at his wedding. What a coincidence. But I've never met Alex before, but my best friend was here last week, and he was like, I've got to go next week for a fitting for Alex, who plays Hunter in your series. And I was like, what? Like, what are the chances of that?
There's going to be a lot of heartbroken people, including myself, knowing he's married now. You know? What can I say?
Therese.
That's all right, you've got Thomas now.
Darling. Oh, Therese, it's your big scene. It's your big drag scene.
Big drag scene.
Yes. This is where I become a man.
Your big stunt. Oh. And now we're on Latoya's entrance. I love Latoya. That entrance was a little homage to Arwen in Lord of the Rings, because we see her sword before we see her. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do. That's why the sword comes in. But she's so cool, and I'm so sad we only got one scene with her in season 2, because she's really cool. She's like a trained... How many stunts can she do, Neil? Like loads? Like swords, archery, everything.
Wow.
She's
can't even remember.
Currently working on Rings of Power, and it was like, can we get some last minute stunts in for her? But like, no, it wouldn't have made sense. But yeah, she's awesome.
Rings of Power.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings series. She's also done.
Dare I inquire what that is?
It's a Lord of the Rings TV series.
Okay. I was a bit like, I'm not sure you're allowed to advertise things like that. Anyway, excuse me.
That's so good.
I thought maybe that was the advert that had come up for you. Maybe that's what you've done, Series 3.
We're laughing through the emotional scene, and we've laughed through the emotional scene.
Yeah, there you go. Wow.
Oh, I'm crying now.
Well, we should talk about that betrayal scene in a moment, but we're about to come up to Florian's big reveal.
I remember at the premiere seeing it for the first time. My heart started pounding because I knew it was coming, just based on where we were in the script. So yeah, it was.
I wonder how many people thought he was going to turn out to be a rotter. It's interesting, isn't it? A character like that. It's sort of part of their attractiveness is that they might be a bit dodgy, you know.
We don't know yet. That's the fun, isn't it, of revealing what he's like in series 3.
It just wasn't good though.
You're talking about Hunter though, Therese.
Yeah.
Sophie, this scene, do you know how many times Suzanne and I practiced that walk in that costume so we could get it? And then when we got there to the location, my shoes, we'd gone for like an authentic medieval boot, and so the sole was wooden, and then I saw that the stairs were wooden, and I was like, we've got a wood on wood. Oh, that sounded wrong. Sorry, we've got...
Back to Rings of Power.
Do you remember, like, Florian, though? I was like, one thing Florian can definitely do is walk well. I'm not worried about your ability to walk. Absolutely fine. I think there was one take where you did a few steps and went, nope, sorry, and had to go back again.
It was the sliding of, like, the wood on the wooden stairs, and we were like, okay, this is, like, not what we rehearsed. So it was and I think you were saying we can do something if you need to do so. I was like, no, let's not add. I'm not going to add any more fuss to this day. I'll just have to balance my way down.
So when you went back and started again, had you just slipped? Is that what happened?
When was that? No, I was worried I was going to slip because I thought
Right.
having prepared this character for so long and then obviously wanting to really sort of nail it, I didn't want to then have that moment where he comes flying down the stairs.
There was one take,
Where's
Lauren,
it
where
gone, Neil? We've lost the.
finished.
It's finished. We got to the
That's
end.
But Florian, there was
end?
one take that you did where you were thinking so hard about the walk and hitting your mark perfectly well, because that's always really hard, isn't it? Hitting the mark exactly. Particularly when you've got to go downstairs to a mark and hit it exactly the right time and the camera's coming up and you had all that in your head. I don't even remember this. And you got halfway down the stairs, hit your mark, put your arms out, and forgot your character's name temporarily.
Oh God, yeah. It's so true. Okay, so I mean, any actor will relate to this. Is that there's two occasions as an actor when you forget your lines. One is when you are overthinking the blocking and everything like that, and there's so many external things. And this is very much the difference with film and stage. Is that on film, you have got external things happening that are there's not really a fourth wall because everything in that fourth wall is kind of lit and present and in the room with you, whereas on stage you kind of, once that show starts and the curtain's up, you're committed to that journey in that world, and then everything's just for what's happening. But anyway, and then the other time you lose your lines as an actor is when that breakthrough happens when you suddenly are like, I'm the character now, and then you get so emotionally involved into the scene, and then suddenly you just forget where you are, and then the lines, you have to, yeah. It's
brilliant. Like, obviously you smashed it and you were clearly born for this role, as everyone said, but it was just so funny because it was such a huge moment. And you walked down the stairs and you went to say your name and you went, I am Thomas. And then there was this massive pause and you were like, Beverwell Ride. It was beautiful.
Oh, it was, and you know what? It was so nice to work with. I mean, that was my first day getting to having, had email liaisons with everybody. It was so nice to finally, and obviously we have a group chat on WhatsApp as well, where there's obviously information being shared, and the peg thing was very. Sorry, speaking of topics, I'm not saying a lot of good things. The peg situation,
the peg game.
The peg game. That was so, like, being a newcomer to this, I was like, What is everyone talking about pegging for? I was like, what is this? So I'll let you guys explain that. But yeah,
I'm just trying to find my peg. Bear with me 1 second.
I'm minus the hand. But it was a game that Rose, the production designer, came up with to sort of raise spirits in the last week of filming.
When I played it last time, whoever had all the pegs on had to buy everybody a drink, but we never did that.
Oh, I didn't. That was an aspect of the game I wasn't aware of.
But it's basically you're just putting a peg on people's clothes when they don't know. I mean, obviously you have to be careful because you don't want to get it in the film.
Yeah.
But it was.
They tried to get it in the film, didn't they? There was that one take when Alex and Oriana walked out covered in pegs and wearing handkerchiefs over their faces because everyone was very tired and they'd done those really emotional scenes, so they were letting off steam, and they thought that they'd just walk on covered in pegs and handkerchiefs, and I'd go take them off, go back, and I was like, oh no, you've got to lie this time now. You will do the scene with pegs and handkerchiefs on. And I just made them do the whole scene. And they're like, right, like normal. But yeah, I got a lot of pegs on me. I lost a lot because I was so focused. But you had a lot of pegs on you as well, Neil, didn't you?
Yes, I certainly did. Yeah, at some points.
I have two things from the Ren shoot. I've got a coin and I've got a peg. And that's my two things that I have.
I got an eye infection.
From the peg.
What, from your contact lens?
No, it was fine. It was fine. It was just a bit. Yeah, no, I'm joking. I love the way that Sophie goes, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I worry about you. I'm sorry, but
I mean, worry about me, so don't you join in.
Speaking of mucking about, though, like the two other times that people mucked about was like Richard. Richard loved to muck about and improvise, and Richard and you, Therese, had that beautiful scene where Richard came to me and he said, I really want to improvise on this next take with the bookseller and say something silly. And I was like, no, we're tight scheduled. No. And then he did the take and he nailed it straight away, and the camera nailed it straight away. And I was like, oh, go on then. So I secretly like whispered to him, yeah, okay. And he, do you remember, Therese, he walked up to you and you were doing your sale of like books, forbidden knowledge, each one cause death. And he was like, hello, have you got the novel of the Knaf and the Seven Dirty Mary Rye or something like that? And you were straight away in there and you sold him a book. And yeah, do you remember that, Neil?
Vaguely, yeah. Yeah.
Every single one of those people, though, who came along and were in it, and I know some of them hadn't done a lot of acting before, maybe, I don't know. They was just so 100% into it, and it was really joyous to interact with all of them. They brought something extra special, and I have a debt of gratitude towards. And if anybody, I would say, if anybody wants to get involved in season 3, I don't know whether they can, Neil, can they? If they
can, yeah.
That I would say it doesn't have to be you want to be an actor, but it's just such a great thing to do, to get involved in something like this and be part of it, because it's such a lovely, it's more than just being in a film. It's being in a world, and because it's such a kind environment, because there's a lot of people doing it, that nobody gets angry. Well, not that I saw. Nobody gets angry. It's a very nurturing space. So I would say if anybody's thinking, oh, should I, just do it. Just if you can, do you know what I mean? And certainly a few more people would extend that world, wouldn't they? It's such a gift to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
the money as well.
Shall we say, Neil, that if you let's set a target now for Patreon, and if we hit that target, the secret missing scene of Ophon buying his special book from Bibliana the bookseller will be released. What target should we say?
Is that about
well, hang on a minute. Are we sure? Are we sure we recorded that take though?
Yes,
I know
we did.
Peg take was only filmed on a phone off the monitor. It wasn't actually.
Peg take wasn't, yeah, but the scene with Ophon interacting with Bibliana, yes, because I didn't tell anyone that he was going to do it. Only Richard knew, so we treated it as a proper take, just to raise spirits. And I've seen it. I watched it with Arthur during my director's cut. It definitely exists. If people would like to see it, they've just got to support Patreon. And then it might come out from the cutting room floor, but it's very funny.
Yeah, well, there we go. I'm trying to get on into. Well, if we let's I don't know. If we can get I mean, we're on 109 members now, paid members. If we get 110th during the stream, there we go. We'll bring that out.
Ooh.
Good.
On Patreon. Yeah, we should wrap up pretty soon, but
I can smell my dinner.
Well, before we go, we should quickly just talk about the betrayal scene, the Hunter and Ren thing, because that's such a big thing in this episode. I know a few people have been shocked by it, and it went through a few versions. So even after we'd filmed it, there was some more information about what Hunter was receiving from Joran. And actually it was, as filmed, Joran said that they were going to the archivist.
Good old Joran.
So I can't remember. Was it Kate Sykes?
What I kind of loved about this plot twist, if you like, and from the beginning, their relationship between Ren and Hunter was always a kind of there was always a banter and a tension between them, and a what?
Bit of magnetic energy.
Yeah, there we go. And it's so it does lead you to that are they romantically going to get involved or are they not? But it's what I love about that is that he didn't actually break his promise, and despite he got her to where she wanted to go, and then when that twist happens, he kept his promise by doing that. And I kind of like that as a viewer. go on. As a viewer, we put virtue into him for sort of carrying her to where, you know, he got her, but actually he's looking after number one. And did he always honor that, you know?
But also, you can imply a promise without words, but then there's a lot of men out there like that. And I'm very sad if one's turned up in this thing. But it did make me go, well, what is his connection with who? Like, I'm really excited to know in episode 3. Well, because that, by disconnecting himself or by having a different purpose, he has now set out a spider web of how he could be connected with yourself, Florin, with your character, or with the family past, or the mention. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah. Hunter is Thomas's ex. That's the problem.
I mean, he could even turn out to be top dog. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Or he could be the pimple on somebody's arse. But it's just, it's thrown it massively out there, and in your head you're playing, well, could he? Was there anything in there? I love that. I love that.
I will say that kind of one of the things I was so excited about from the very moment I was brought on board the season was Hunter's arc was just so appealing, because he has got such a long game out of anyone else in the character, and kind of his motivations are always kind of close to his heart, and he holds his cards close to his chest, and just kind of, it's such a long game, and you learn more and more about Hunter as the series goes on. And it was a wonderful journey for Alex as well. Like you said, the fact that to begin with they didn't trust each other, and if Ren and Hunter hadn't, you know, become so close, it probably wouldn't have been as bad for them. It's the fact that throughout the course of series 2 they'd got so close, whether it's romantic or not, it might be leading that way. That's what makes it work.
Many forms of love, Sophie, isn't there?
Exactly, there are many. We've discussed this as well before. There are many forms of love, but the fact that they, in many ways, they love and care about each other, and they've fought together and slept in the same kind of facility for weeks on end. They're going to be super, super close. So having this happen now makes it more, you know, makes it more heartbreaking. The fact that it's happened when she's just begun to trust him. And something I talked with Oriana a lot about is the fact that everyone Ren trusts betrays her at some point. Her mum's gone, her dad as well had his secrets. Khan, she's now learning more about Khan, that he wasn't who he said he was, and it's been very hard for her to trust people, because everyone she loves has secrets, and she's finally at this exact moment begun to trust Hunter, and that's when he betrays her. And she's finally let her guard down, which she never does. I just loved building that up with the two of them, and the way when it does, you know.
That comes from whether he has betrayed her or he hasn't betrayed her. That comes from a deeply damaged backstory, or an emotional connection that we don't know about. But all that, and the fact that he's been secretive, means whatever it is something that's a nut to crack, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that's going to be interesting to know what is the motivation and the story and the backstory to that character, because it's become more fascinating because of that twist.
It's something that I'm not going to say what it is, but it's something that Hunter has to know and will do anything to know.
I'll go on, say it.
Neil's finger hovering over the end stream button.
No, but the fact that he, to begin with, that was all he wanted, was that knowledge. But now he's begun to care for Ren. It makes it such a difficult moment for him in that last. But he's got what he wants, but at the sacrifice of Ren, who he's now begun to care for. And no matter whether or not Ren is going to where she needs to go and wants to go, it's the way that it happens to her is not fair, and it's crushing for her. And oh god, I keep saying, but Oriana and Alex in that scene are phenomenal. Oriana was so in that moment that it was just kind of hard for her to calm down afterwards, and bless her. And Alex just had us all in tears. If you see Alex cry on set, like you said, he's so believable that it is just like watching Alex cry on set. It's not like seeing Hunter cry. So it was it was really difficult. I felt kind of mean putting them through that, but I didn't write it. It's Neil's fault. 2 emotional scenes in one episode, like that was a challenge for them. It was a challenge for me as well. Like, wow.
There have been many different versions of the Hunter, hasn't there? There's many different, but I don't think we've come to his truth yet. And I don't think he's he's on the journey to his truth as well.
Yeah, I agree with
nothing.
that.
I know
agree with
nothing. I
that.
don't know anything about Series 3, but I just feel his truth is changing, and you know, and his perspective of what is true is changing, and this amazing magical woman is forcing him on that journey, and yeah. Oh well, come on then, get on with Series 3, and I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah, Ren's definitely changing him. You're seeing it in small ways, like, you know, him learning to not steal from people when, you know, he ends up having to pay for the bread in an earlier season. She's influencing him in little ways, but then it's like, yeah, what are the big ways that
That's
she's
massive,
influencing
isn't
him?
it? Because that's a change of lifestyle. If you get away in life in poverty by nicking, and somebody's making you not nick, that there has to be a real in-depth heart feeling to change those ways, don't they? Because it's not convenient. But anyway, we will see, and we'll see how, Florin, how you mess things up for everybody. I don't trust you with your dandy ways and your clippy cloppy wood on wood.
Oh, Therese, I wish we'd got to work together. I feel like you'd be a ray of sunshine.
Oh, maybe I'll
She
turn up
definitely is.
out of your sewer or something at some point. Who knows?
Rewrite, Neil, rewrite the script again.
Felt like I could.
Well, it's been absolutely lovely chatting with you all. This is about all we've got time for. Before I go, two quick things. One is, don't forget, we are at MCM Comic Con on May the 24th. That's the Friday, 2:15 p.m. We have a panel on how to make high fantasy on a low budget. Don't miss that if you are.
Well, you're the experts on that for sure.
We have cornered the market a little bit, I think. So that's MCM Comic Con London, May 24th. And then most importantly, we now have 1 week left to get to our target of 300 paid Patreon members to enable us to shoot season 3 this year. We are all ready to go and shoot it in July. The cast are ready, the scripts are ready, the key crew are ready. We just need you to get involved. Spread the word, because otherwise we're going to have to delay till next year at the earliest, and we know that none of you want another break like we had after season 1. No one wants that. We want to keep the momentum going and keep the story going. So please sign up to our Patreon. And would you guys like to say anything to the Sophie, Florian, Therese? Would you like to say anything to Patreon members, potential Patreon members?
Who's going first?
It's just it's so lovely. I mean, even that, I don't know how much the Patreon business is, but you can presumably you could just give you some money, couldn't you? You could give you £2.50.
It's the £3 a month is the base tier.
But you could do bung in a couple of quid and not, whatever. But it's just to be part of something, to have. It's going sort of almost back to the olden days, isn't it? To have the power to make something and be creatively involved in something is a good thing to do, and that the arts are in deadly strike at the moment. The magic is in your hands, basically, or if you know somebody or whatever, then that would be great. I'll give you a £5 afterwards, Neil. All right, love.
Do you know what? We can do this. I mean, this is slightly off topic, but I recently adopted a dog, and within 24 hours, we raised £1,000 for him to keep his life. So I just thinking, like, in forward thinking here, if you're up for this as well, Neil, maybe we could jump on and do a live on my Instagram. We could talk to some of my own followers and sort of see what we can get happening there, because I know a bunch of them, if they were hearing this and getting to be a part of all this, which I have shared it with my followers on Instagram, but it's whether or not they've gone from Instagram all the way onto YouTube. But yeah, and on TikTok as well, I'd definitely be up for doing a live on there. Maybe we can talk to more people that I know would love this and would definitely be willing to send across £3.50. So
Let's do it.
And I want your dog to be in it. I don't know who your dog is. I want to give them some money to see your dog in episode in series 3. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we should make that happen.
More rewrites, Neil. Again.
He can do a blog, Dog on Set blog.
We can I think we can do this. We can definitely. So I'm going to do whatever I can to help support this production, and to everybody watching. Huge thank you for creating the space for these guys to create this beautiful world that I'm so honoured to be a part of. So thank you.
And just to remind people, the money goes to the show, not to people. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. It all goes on the stuff.
I didn't get a penny off these people.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a slice of pizza, but that was it. Just a lot of love, right?
Last word to Sophie.
Who gave you a penny? Oh no, I will just say, I mean, yeah, thank you so much to everyone who supported so far. And supporting Patreon and supporting Ren doesn't just get Ren on your screens quicker, which I know you all want. The impact it has on the careers of all the cast and crew involved, particularly when it's early stage people. These are mega talented people that can do big fantasy shows, but don't get the opportunity to do big fantasy shows for one reason or another, not moaning about the film industry. But the fact that, they get the opportunity to show what they can do, this is a platform for those people. It can be a stepping stone to something else, or we can just do Ren forever, which is equally brilliant. But you are helping and grow and improve the careers and skills of so many dedicated, wonderful, talented people, cast and crew, extras who get to come on for a day and have the best time. None of that is possible without the support of people on Patreon. So you are making a huge difference to so many people, as well as seeing something brilliant on your screen. So do keep supporting, and I'll be an audience member next year, but I'm really looking forward to seeing season 3. So I want to see it too. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm already a Patreon supporter because I want to see season 3. So
thank you. Oh, and just finally, someone's asking about your other series, Florian. Do you want to just give it a quick name check?
Sure. Yeah, it's called Oakland Chronicles. It's a very funny enough, one of my lead characters is called Ren, but we spell it with a W, and she's actually the villain in my story. But we did shoot the pilot. You can see some footage that we decided to relinquish and put on social media. So if you go to my Instagram, Florian Hencher, or TikTok, which is the same name, you can see some clips. And I'm actually going to be talking to Neil very soon about this, because I definitely need his words of wisdom in order to how to elevate the series, and maybe when Ren has finished its run, we could bring the Oakland Chronicles into the mythical world.
Nice.
Oh, well, if Neil is doing favours in return, he can come and shift from bricks and me build the house. I've got a couple of brief blocks, about 400 of them that need shifting.
What's that? You froze up, Therese. You froze up. Can't hit you, Therese.
Yeah, right.
And on that note, thank you everyone so much for watching. Thank you to Sophie Black, Florian Hencher, and Therese Collins for joining us tonight, and we will see you again on The Mouth of Truth. Good night, everyone.